Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now. Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now.
Aspiring Authors Magazine is a founding sponsor for Da Crew podcast. Get featured inside the magazine and allow your voice to be heard around the world.
Aspiring Authors Magazine is an international magazine founded in May of 2020 by Queen Angela. Get featured.
At Wings of Transformation Publishing, we are committed to helping our authors reach their goals and pursue their dreams of becoming published authors. We work closely with each author to ensure a successful publishing experience, and we are dedicated to helping them tell their stories in the most meaningful and impactful ways. We look forward to putting you on the path to writing your book.
Hello, and welcome to the Crew Podcast. I am the visionary Queen Angela, and welcome to Season 2. I want to thank you for tuning in and for all of your support throughout Season 1. We're back, them divas of the airwaves. So thank you for joining us tonight. Share this with someone in your circle.
Checking to see where my head has been, and I've been apologizing to some people, some bridges I needed to mend.
Hello and good evening, and welcome to another edition of Let's Chat with Nat. Hey, Latanya, I am your host, Natalie Harvey, and tonight we're here. You know, we love to have the conversation. We love to talk. We just like to talk about things that go on in everyday life. I'm a little not out of it, but I'm a little hoarse, as you can hear tonight. But we're here. We're going to do it. We're going to rock out, and we're going to have a good show tonight. Well, tonight's topic is something that I have personally dealt with, and it's the topic of blended families. If you notice nowadays, you see more blended families than you do families, or you just as equal amount of blended families to families that are same mother, same father. For me, this is something that I've experienced in my own family. I come from a blended family. It's ironic that my generation is a blended family. My parents' generation is a blended family, and their parents' generations are also blended families. And it's just funny how when you do come from a blended family, how you have different personalities, different traits, different things that might be done in one household that's not done in the other household. And then when you come together, you have to find a way to have them all mesh together, or sometimes they don't mesh together. But it's just ironic how more and more in our society, blended families are the norm. Like, again, like I said, for me, I come from a blended family. I'm the oldest of three girls. We have same dad, but different moms, different mothers. But it's ironic how some characteristics we have that are the same, some that are definitely not the same, and then some that you have to meet in the middle with. And it it kind of goes back for me. When I think back at that, I look at how my parents and their blended family situation, how that kind of played into our upbringing. Sometimes when you come from a blended family, you don't realize that, for instance, my uncle is my grandmother's oldest child. He's not my grandfather's son, but he still called my grandfather dad. Right, Tanya. It's so ironic. Like, for me, my grandfather, and everybody knows I have, well, one grandfather is deceased, the other one is in Florida, and that's my ride. That's my ride right there. But nobody growing up, a lot of people didn't know that he was not my biological grandfather, you know, because again, the way how the family blended together, there was no need to say, well, she's not my biological grandchild, or he's not my biological grandfather. It was, that's my granddaughter, that's my grandfather. And it's funny that as I was raised with him, and even from a child to now an adult, 42 going on 43 years, there's so much of the characteristics of him that I have, that his biological grandchildren, some of them have it, but I think I tend to more have it because I was raised more with them than the other set of grandkids. And it's just so ironic how, when we go to the schools, children have, like, some children have different last names. Some have the same last names. For instance, my kids, my oldest son, he has a hyphenated last name. Again, he comes from a blended family situation. So does my younger son. And it's just like, when you go to the schools or when you interact with other parents, and then you sit down and you compare notes and you talk, and you see that more and more in this world, in this generation, in this time that we're living in, blended families are becoming the norm. See, I'm going to tell you guys a little story in regards to, like, what you're saying, Latanya. My actual biological grandfather, which is my father's father, I met him one time, and I think I was about 11 or 12, somewhere in that age range. And when I met him, all I had to do was look at him and look at me, and we looked just alike. And I never got to meet him again. But then I found out, like, there were other, because I always thought growing up, not so much that I thought, I knew my dad had one older brother, but I didn't know he had so many other siblings. And as I grew older, matter of fact, when I had my first bout of cancer is when I really found out, okay, I have an aunt in London that I look so much like her. And then I have other uncles that I got to meet, and I'm like, oh wow, this is so interesting how we are intertwined. Hey, Patrice, how everybody is just intertwined with each other. And sometimes you never know. Sometimes you, like Latanya, like you said, you don't find out until you're in your teens. I'm grateful for me that I was able to find out early in life and was able to say, okay, I understand this part. So this person is here and this person is there. And then they all come together at some point. And it's like, you know what? Regardless as to what, we are all one family. We all come from we all come together to make one family. Is it tough to have a blended family? Absolutely. It is absolutely tough because there are times where one parent may not get along with the other parent, or one sibling may not like what the other sibling has to say. And then, God forbid, something happens and a parent pass away, then you have this and you have that. It's so much that goes into how the dynamic of a blended family comes together. You know, I always have to go back to how my grandparents, how they just brought everybody together. Even if it was a child that was for somebody else, they'll bring them all in and we just all came together as one. For me, I don't think I could have seen myself just growing up with in a one parent household, or just it just, I guess because I'm so used to it, it's just the norm for me. And I look at my sons, it has now become the norm for them, even with their siblings. It's so the dynamic is so interesting because they'll call and they'll talk to their siblings from their other side, and then they'll say, "Where's mommy?" And they'll call me mommy, and they'll say, "Let me talk to mommy." And I'm like, "Okay, I get it. I understand it. I welcome it." So when you show love, when you show that respect, you're able to break down any barriers that come with all of that extra chatter and that extra bickering. It's not necessary. It defeats the purpose. Nobody wins, nobody succeeds when you have all of this chaos and chaotic behavior in families. It does not work. It just does not bring any kind of order. It does not bring any kind of peace. At some point, you have to say, regardless as to what my difference is with you, we have to come together as one. We have to show a united front. Is it always easy to show a united front? Absolutely. I will be the first to admit. Sometimes, yes, families keep a lot of secrets. And, it's hard because as we now get older, and I know for myself, as I'm now in this mid 40 age range, and I start to find out more things about the family dynamic. It's interesting because it's so vital to know your family history. It is so vital to know where you come from. If you don't know these things, and I get it, certain things may happen that they just want to keep it a secret. And trust me, the elders, especially the elders that I've been around, they will take certain things to their grave, and they have. But is it always good? Is it always right? No, because there are things sometimes that needs to be said in the family, and that can break generational curses. That can break the toxicity that sometimes comes in, where because this person may have been the older one, or this person may be this parent's favorite, they don't like this, and then that's when the chaos come in. That's when the families now, because you know I may be from a different parent, or I may be from a different this, it causes a lot of tension and unnecessary strife in families. You know, I think back to when my grandmother passed, and it's actually coming up this week to the anniversary of her death. Wow, on Tuesday. Um, even with her, she did not treat. My mom has an older sister, and when you saw my aunt, you wouldn't think that she had a different mom, because my grandmother treated her the same way she treated her blood children. Again, how my uncle would call my grandfather dad. My aunt would call my grandmother my mom. And they were like that until my grandmother passed. And nobody knew the difference unless you were there from the beginning and whatever, you knew that that wasn't her biological child. But coming up, you would never know. It took me again as a child to find out, oh wait, Auntie is not my grandmother's child. But if you look at her, if you see how she acts, how she treats my grandmother, how my grandmother treats her, you can't tell her any different that that's not her mother. So sometimes yes, exactly, Black Diamond, exactly. And I was just about to say that it started and it goes back from there. We are all one family. We all come from Adam and Eve. It all starts from there. It all goes back to there. Exactly, Latanya. My sons, both of my sons, they have siblings from their dads, and their siblings, if they see me anywhere, if they're on the phone, they're gonna say, "Where's mom? Where?" And I don't tell them not to call me mom. I say I treat them all as if they're mine. They definitely take it to the grave. There's so much like family history that goes when that elder leaves, that you need to know, but you can't get the answers because the answers are gone. Once, if you don't sit down, and I love to do this every time I am with my grandmother that is alive still. Every time I'm with her, I try to get some kind of information from her based off of what she could remember, what she knows, because it's helpful to me. You know, again, I remember when I first got diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I never knew that it actually ran in the family, and I didn't know that I had a family member in another country that was going through the same thing that I was going through. I didn't know that my great grandfather had leukemia, which is just the same thing as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's so much stuff that is taken to the grave that sometimes I think it does an injustice to us, because we need to know who we are. You know, we need to, at some point, we need to be able to uncover the stories of who we are. Having a blended family, you have more than one story that's going on. You may have 3 and 4 stories that's going on at the same time, but it's your family history. It's who you are. It's how you come together as one. Um, I love the dynamic. I do love the dynamic of a blended family. Do I think it out? Do I think that a blended family is not as important as how would I put this? A same family where you have same mother, same father. It it's just as important. It doesn't matter whether you come from the same household, you have the same parents, or you have different parents. We are all one. We have to understand that family is family. We have to understand that we're not going to like everything that someone does. Um, I had to learn that. I'm still learning that. Even with my own siblings, I'm still learning that. Wow. Oh, wow. Wow, Latanya. See, this is why we need to. I'm a really strong advocate for retracing your roots and understanding who you are and learning who you are, because there's so many things that you may not understand about you And you never know. There may be somebody in your family that felt the same things that you felt, or were interested in the same things that you were, but you would never know because somebody probably never took the time or did not want to tell the story, or maybe felt that it was a shame. It's so much that we have to unpack as human beings that we're not allowed to sometimes, or we don't give ourselves the permission to unpack who we really are. When you get to sit down and meditate and unpack and understand that, okay, I'm this way, but why is everybody else like this? Or why is it that I'm more into understanding my roots, or understanding uh, different things, and everybody else is just like, whatever, whatever. There may be somebody in the family that was just like that. I've dealt with that with me. I've heard different stories about different family members, and then I would sit down and be like, well, wait, I think the same way. Or that's something that I also realize in myself that I do. But because we don't take the time to talk about these hidden jewels, as I like to call them, or hidden stories that nobody really takes the time to tell, we'll never know. We'll never get to find out. We'll never understand sometimes ourselves in the way that we need to understand ourselves, because it's just something that's never told. It's just something that, again, you take it to your grave and you just let it rock out like that. But I'm about to wind down. But as I said, and I'm going to continue with blended families again, because I'm going to bring somebody on to talk about blended families with me as well. Learning about my paternal side from two of my cousins. We've had, wow. Why? See, that again, talking about family history helps you understand who you are, and it gives you that sense. It gives you a sense of identity that you sometimes don't realize you want and you crave, and you want to know who you are. For instance, I'm going to say this and I'm going to wrap up. I am a person that dreams. I guess you'll call me a dreamer or whatever. But I'm a person that I'm in tune to. I love anything about history and understanding, like the spirituality of us as a people, or understanding, our culture, and when there's African dance and stuff like that. And I remember talking to my grandmother, and she would tell me stories about certain family members that, when she started to explain it to me, I'm like, but I get these same things, or I go through these same things. And then I found out that she used to do this, and same thing used to happen to her. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, see, exactly. There you go. It's so much. This world is just one big melting pot. It's just one big melting pot. You never know who you are, regardless as to whether we live here, whether we live in another country, wherever we are still one big family, and we all come together at some point. So we are all just one big blended family. So with that, I'm going to end tonight's show, but we are going to continue this conversation on my next show. And I just hope everyone has a great week. Continue to stay strong. Continue to stay blessed. Tomorrow is the solar eclipse. So if you have your goggles, make sure you wear them. Protect your eyes. Just stay healthy, stay strong, and I will see you again soon. Have a good night, everybody.
Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now. Where making all the blue skies blue. Poison is the wind that blows from the north